Monday night, it's RaceSpotTV. We're here for Monday Night Skippies after these messages. Monday night, we're back here with RaceSpotTV. Rachel, it's Connery, we've got a Will here on the camera. It's Monday Night Skippies. Welcome once again to the series round number 2 here this week, and we are at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, better known as Motorsports, up here in Canada. Of course, Monday Night Skippies brought to you by CALM. That is the Campaign Against Living Miserably. And let's be honest, in the UK, mental health isn't something that's cool. It's actually one of the biggest killers of men under the age of 45. So CALM is a charitable partner for RaceSpotTV and Monday Night Skippies. Check them out online. You can find that, of course, on the forums and on our web pages and our Twitter accounts. Check them out. It's also here on the description. But, Connery, Mosport, round number 2. We came from a horrific death blender of a track last week at the 60-car grid at Lime Rock Park, which was tantamount to chainsaws in a tornado, to Mosport, a track with flow and space and sweeping corners and more than 7 of them.
Yep, exactly, and there's also more than a couple of left-handers as well, so that is a great thing to have in a racetrack. But yeah, here at Motorsport, pretty much the opposite to Lime Rock Park. Exactly as you mentioned, you have these long sweeping corners for most of the lap. The only slow-speed section on this entire circuit is the one coming towards the middle of the lap, coming down into turn 5 and 6. That's the Moss Corner complex, where you see most of your overtaking moves today.
Certainly is, and in true strange style that the Americans and Canadians seem to enjoy, that corner is in fact 5A and 5B. Because that's apparently a thing. Why we couldn't have called it a double apex right-hander called turn 5, I don't know. But it has two apexes, therefore it is 2 corners. So 5A and 5B. More flowy tracks we'll see this season, and it's a fantastic one for that. Qualifying currently underway here on track. We have, I believe, around the region of 46 drivers in tonight's race. And let's look at our 1 second bracket. Current pole is Simon Edwards, 1 minute 32.234, and a 33.234 will take us roughly down to about 26th place. So not quite the 41 cars we had in a second at Lime Rock Park, Connery, but still a fairly sizable chunk. This track is definitely a high-speed one. We're going to see a lot of drafting.
Yeah, and qualifying times that close is quite typical here in the Monday Night Skippies, but you're exactly right, Rachel. The draft effect is going to be pretty big here, especially on that back straight from turn 7 down in towards turn number 8. Expect maybe some amounts of 3 wide coming down into there. Definitely lots of 2 wide as they try to slingshot past each other.
Certainly will be. So we're expecting a great race today. Of course, we want to talk briefly, Connery, about the nightmare that befell for Humantonides. And wow, we have been joined by Linus Broström for the first time in what feels like a century. Linus, Monday Night Skippies, we've missed you.
Hello, I'm back. Yeah, just been working a bit too much, so
Well, we greatly appreciate your presence, Linus, of course, as we'll just quickly finish our point there, Connery, of the accident for Antonides last week out, the final corner of the final lap. He led the entire race only to get taken out by what appeared to be mating backmarkers.
Yeah, exactly, and that instant did allow Benny Simonson and Simon Edwards to go through in towards P1 and P2 as well, so for him having to settle for third step on the podium after what was a largely dominant race for him for the entirety of the race, except the final corner when he got tangled up with those back markers. And well, we did mention at the time, if he continued on his normal racing line, he would have gotten through it, but he took the split-second decision to go left, and that was the wrong one.
Well, it's one of those choices you end up being forced into, but as these things happen in racing, they will. So either way, we're going to move on now and have a look at our positions. Qualifying will be over in about 6 seconds, looking at the timing and scoring right now, so we are about to get that flag through. Of your leaders, Ken Halliburton's just snatched pole away from Edwards. None of those guys are out on track, so I think we can call it here on qualifying. We're to the grid now. So, without further ado, it's Ken Halliburton on pole, Simon Edwards in second place with Ben Daniels in third, Mick Watson with Bill Fraser in P5, defending champion. First pole there for Ken Halliburton with Adam Terry in the P6. Paul Thurston, Reese Saunders, Chris Malcolm, Gary Tall and Jock Hobbs in P10. Behind them it's Clark Williams, Robert Plumley, Anthony Catt, Neil Bamber, Matt Cox in 15th with Dave Kirkman, James McRitchie, Darryl Taylor, Ryan Hewitt, Simon Maltby in 20th. Rest of those results up on your screen as Connery. Another great qualifying there from Paul Thurston, P6.
Yeah, exactly. He did manage to get P3, I believe it was, in the qualifying for the first round of the season at Line Rock Papa. Another very good qualifying performance for Paul Thurston. We've also got good qualifying performances from both Ben Daniels and Mick Watson as well, getting themselves onto that second row. Your defending champion will actually line himself up elsewhere, as he's currently ranked as not having a grid position at the moment, which is an interesting sort of situation right there. As it is Ben Daniels, Mick Watson, Adam Terry, Paul Thurston, which would be the second and third rows there.
Bill Fraser has been disqualified due to a qualifying black flag. I believe they're trying to get him cleared, but he may not take part in this race. Oh gosh, that's definitely shaken things up, because I did have him in my running order, but apparently that is not the case. We'll see if that gets cleared for him or not, but his time was competitive actually. This would have been a good race for him, the defending champion, but it seems to be a second week of problems for the young Scotsman. 16 laps here tonight, and wow, disqualified already. Out of the race. The engines will rev, and unfortunately Bill Fraser will not be on this grid as the flag flies. Good start by Halliburton and Edwards. Good front row there moving off as everyone will shuffle into line for the first corner. The long right-hander, which is actually climbing slightly here at Mosport from that front stretch. Not a long run into the corner for these guys, so basically flatten these cars down to the descending turn 2 here. Dropping down to an area where you can very easily push wider. We'll see that later in the race, I'm sure, Connery. Up towards 3 now, which curves us round here for the descent down towards the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, into Quebec corner for the first time. Turn number 3 out there on circuit, and it's been a relatively calm start for the front. I'd say third of your field. There's multiple instances of too wide further back, though, especially between Anthony Catt, the number 8, and the 147 of Robert Plumley. They're going to have a battle coming down into the only heavy braking zone on this track of turn number 5 of the Moss Corner complex. But now here comes the run out of the corner down the very long back straight. This is where you can see the draft at its fullest.
It certainly is, and wow, this is going to be a move here for Edwards as he comes up the inside of Halliburton, who just moved to the side. Looks to almost to let him through, because Halliburton put himself offline. And here comes Ben Daniels looking to also get involved in this action up here at the sharp end. A number of cars missing actually from this one, including the likes of Stuart Adcock and the likes of Humantonides and numerous other big names. So this is a chance for some new drivers here to get a win at Linus that haven't really before in the series. Edwards are leaders across the end of lap 1, and so far things have stayed clean.
Yeah, it's been a really clean start, and like you said, some of the top guys are missing here, and Ken Halliburton definitely took that advantage and got his first pole, and He's staying up there currently in second place, racing for the lead as he's trying to look, but he's going to stay behind. You don't really want to go side by side down this hill, like you said. It's very, very easy to push wide here, and if you go in the grass in the second corner, you're definitely going to hit the wall as well.
You certainly are, and that is one-way traffic once you get down to that part of things. But oh, a couple of cars getting a little loose there coming through the sweeping Quebec corner. One of those being Adam Terry. Got a bit of marbles going on as Paul Thurston in P6 closing in on him. Reece Saunders as well. Impressive run from him in qualifying, Connery. He's up there in the 7th spot looking at Paul Thurston, but well, one of those things, if you're fighting for the lead, the draft is a big help. You can pass the leader, but behind the leader, these draft tracks, everyone tends to stay in line.
Yeah, exactly. As the 361 car of Jack Hobbs just ran a bit wide coming out of the 10-5 complex, but here we go, 2x2 for your race lead and 3rd place on the racetrack right now. Simon Edwards will hold on to the lead just for now. Kane Halbert not able to do anything, but side by side between Watson and Ben Daniels. Daniels in that car on the inside line, the Union Jack livery there, trying to squeeze his way through in this S's section, but you lose a little bit of time here for going too wide through what is a very high-speed section as they finally saw each other out. Ben Daniels will come across and be classified in P3 yet again as they head on to lap number 3, as the rest of the guys behind, they've been pretty calm.
They have been, but it's that disadvantage there, Linus, of the draft, that once you've got cars in front of you, it's hard to draft past the car ahead because he's also got the draft and you end up in this stalemate situation. Let's take a little bit further look back down our field here. Look at some of the likes of Maltby, who here is in a decent pack of traffic. And of course, this is a little bit more broken up, but you've got Ewan Patterson ahead of him, Linus, Adrian Brow behind, Jeff Killick, and some quite heavy traffic as the car ahead just runs very wide and gets grass when he comes across the track. No! Contact! That I believe was Ryan Hewitt. Ryan the Torpedo Hewitt having problems there. He nearly gets into the back of Darrell Taylor, actually. Try and get a replay for that for you there. He has to brake to stop from running in the back of Taylor, and then collects Pattinson, who tries to go around him.
Yeah, that's exactly
very unfortunate accident there, and I thought Pattinson was going to be able to get around it, but he just didn't slow down enough and drove straight through it. We're just lucky that there wasn't any more incidents as we see Pattinson going by another damaged car there.
Certainly is, of course, and well, this is going to be one of those consistent issues today because a lot of marble build up there on the track, and that's going to mean if you go offline even slightly, Connery, it's going to be really tricky to maintain grip.
Yeah, it really is, and the track temperature is quite hot as well. It's a clear skies, 24 degrees, 40 degrees Celsius on the racing circuit right now, so it could be a little bit slick out there with the rubber that has been laid down and the marbles that are also offline as well. So going too wide through these corners can be a little bit risky with the driver that goes out onto the marbles, but I'm sure these drivers will be able to sort it out, as we have what looks to be a 5-car breakaway at the front. So Kane Halbert and Simon Edwards, Ben Daniels, Mick Watson, Adam Terry, they are in your leading group.
Certainly is, of course, and right now that lead group is staying fairly static. Halliburton's back out front here, Edwards in second place, Ben Daniels, Mick Watson trailed by Adam Terry there, running through Moss Corner again. Thurston has succumbed to Reece Saunders, who's come past him. Behind them, big group of cars here, actually, Linus. We've got Malcolm, Hobbs, Tall, Williams. Gary Tall, of course, making a return to racing here. He's trying to find his feet again.
Yeah, these guys are staying pretty stable in a single line. They're passing down the straight usually, not this lap though, because like you said earlier, they're all got the same kind of draft, so no one gets a benefit. And right in front of Tall here, we see side-by-side action going on. Hobbs making a move and getting through, as well as Thurston going back past Reece Saunders.
Certainly is. Thurston getting himself a good move there, but this is that breakup we talk about, Connery, of when you have no cars in front of you. Nearly 3 wide there, as well as we get a big bottle up out of turn 10 there, the final corner. But when there's no cars in front, the draft is really a thing, but that's a huge pack of cars now into turn 1, as it's 2 wide with Saunders and the 361 machine there of Hobbs. Behind them, Malcolm and Tall, as we get a good scrap going on here. Bit of a dogfight here at the start of the lap.
Yep, we do, and well, all the second pack is doing right now, they're just fighting between themselves and slowing them down in terms of the front pack's pace. So this is really hampering their chances to get any position better than 6th at the moment, depending on what happens with that front pack. So maybe they have decided they can't run at the pace of the front pack, but who knows. Paul Thurston currently leading this one down in towards turn number 4. At least this second pack does not lead the race overall. In fact, that one will be currently Simon Edwards, but Ben Daniels did have a look coming through the second apex of turn number 5, but as a result of failing that move, he's lost all momentum. Now Kane Halliburton is right on the back of him. Will probably try to get this draft pass down the back straight.
It looks very possible for him, Lena says. Look at this one, right up the inside. It's actually faster here. You know this one quite well. To stay on that inside line, hug the right-hand side of this track all the way up the climb here down the Mario Andretti Straight, because it's actually a slightly lower incline.
Yeah, you get the shorter way around, and as well you get the inside for the whole corner as well, so you'll get a big benefit. But if you can find the grip and nail the line all the way around the corner, you might be able to go faster around the outside, but it's very, very hard to do that. So if you can just stay along the right side and hope that they can't draft past you until you get to the turn.
It's always something you want to try and hope for here, but lap 6 of 16 in the books, and right now it's Simon Edwards, Ken Halliburton, Mick Watson, your top 3, with a breakaway of the top 5 here, all the way back to Adam Terry. Then we've got Jack Hobbs leading a group here with Thurston, Saunders, Williams, Tall, all the way back through this little knot of cars to James McRitchie at the rear end there. In that very kind of... I've forgotten the motorcycle rider's name. He rides a 46 Connery. Help me out right here.
Valentino Rossi.
Valentino Rossi, yes. Sorry, I'm not a motorcycle racing fan, okay? Forgive me. I recognise the scheme on the car there as Rossi's most famous scheme, but either way, let's move on from there. And me embarrassing myself in front of motorsports viewers. But as we go, lap car getting out of the way here, as it's going to be a draft attempt by Kane Halliburton on Simon Edwards for the lead. Taking the longer way around, but he has the momentum there with the draft. Can he clear him by the braking zone, which is actually very late here for these Skippys, of course. I think last time I drove around this track, Cleaners, it was you and me in the Camping World trucks, actually, in a league series, and they brake a lot earlier.
They really, really do, but they go faster as well and are heavier, and they're not really built to go to the right, so there is a lot of reasons for that.
Certainly is, of course. They were a lot of fun around this track. You literally are sweating when you finish racing those things. But anyway, Halliburton, Edwards, Watson, Daniels, Terry at the moment as Connery. A bit further back, how's the Thurston situation?
Well, it's less the Thurston situation, the more the Clark Williams situation. The number 98 machine taking an off-track excursion, shall we say, down in towards turn number 8. Was 3 wide with Rhys Saunders and Jack Hobbs, but the thing is that outside line on the marbles just does not quite work for the Welshman, as he has to stay on the grass and tried to rejoin, in fact, but there was still some traffic coming, so he had to completely abort that rejoin attempt. And now he is all the way back through the field, down in P number 18.
Certainly is, of course, and wow, the track is incredibly busy at this point. We're starting to lap traffic, which will always add a cog into the works, but this means it can be easy for the leaders to get some draft and protect their position. Looking to that sharp end here as they come up Andretti once again. And here comes the car of Simon Edwards. 3 wide there with Mick Watson for the lead. Getting himself stuck in there in the middle. Pushes Kane Halliburton out of the way here, as using the dual slingshot almost of having that double side draft leanness. He gets himself all the way through there and holds the outside, which is what he needs for the count back corner here on number 9. He can just cut back and hold that position, but no, Edwards is going to hold it with him as well. 2 wide again, and here comes Kane Halliburton. 3 wide across the line there. As, wow, this is what we wanted in racing. These guys are going at it.
Yeah, Watson was sideways through all those last 3 corners, and he somehow managed to get it done as they're still side by side. Actually, he's going to clear Halliburton here coming down the hill into turn 2, and they're all going to be single file because they know they don't want to be side by side down here. But Mick Watson really wanting to get to the front, and he made it, so going to see what this will do. But single file for the moment.
Certainly as they're calming themselves down here after another big push there. Everyone trying to realise they need to finish the race to actually win in the race. But Watson getting to the front end for the first time, as biggest move as we've seen so far, Connery. What have we got? Up 7 places, Jonathan Sheen at the moment. He's moved up quite a few spots. Peter Cowan 33rd to 25th. We also have a few smaller movers right now. No one quite as significant. One of the biggest actually right now, Seymour Harding. Harding is up from 43rd to 27th. That's the biggest move of the race, I think, so far. And Hobbs has moved up from 3 to 4 positions, 10th to 7th. Same thing goes for Anthony Catt. So quite a few movers in this race. Who's dropped back, though? Well, Clark Williams is trying to recover from his incident, 11th on the grid, 18th right now. He's going to do what he can to try and hold on to this thing. The one guy who stayed in one place all race long, Aidan Brow, he started 21st, he's still in 21st. Although he's trying to change that right now, Connery. He's back there in the 21st spot, as we mentioned. Unfortunately, he'll have to stay there again as everyone gets back past him.
Yeah, he will. And, well, if you look a couple of cars further back, that's James Child currently up 13 positions as well. So that's probably the biggest mover inside your top 25 cars, I would see there, as the rest of them do go off my screen. But there we go. Down in towards turn number 2 for at least your lead pack. They did head their way 3 wide, coming down in towards turn number 8. Last time by, so these guys are really going for it right now out there on circuit, as I believe the number 83 car has run into a couple of issues. Single car spin coming out of turn number 1. Oh, he clipped the curb just a little bit too much and bounced back across the track. Luckily, no one was there to be able to be collected.
Certainly is. And well, I'm honestly very impressed right now, Linus, with Paul Thurston's times. Of course, we always get to chat to him after the races, but not only has he held off Jack Hobbs and fought back to retake that 6th position, but he's holding that whole line of cars behind him right now, and he's doing it in a fairly stable and mature manner here. Thurston has a decent gap there over Hobbs running up Andretti, which of course gives him a big advantage, but the gap to the lead group's about 4 or 5 seconds here, so 3 wide actually. Looking at the front group there, we'll go back to your leaders here. It was 3 wide into turn 8, and Edwards goes round the outside to secure that lead position in line. Big bold move by him, but he makes it work. Watson a little bit sideways there in 9. Do the final corner, they'll come. If these guys race any harder, though, that time difference to Thurston could come down, and we could see a very interesting battle as... Oh, problems.
187 of James McCrithy having a couple of issues there as he does rejoin the racing circuit. Thankfully, he had the space to do that, but just cycling things back to see what exactly happened. It was Robert Plumley. Yeah, Robert Plumley trying to go around the outside, and just the slightest of taps there to James McCrithy's rear right wheel, and that has just sent him into the barriers.
Unfortunate for him there, as you saw in the replay, just a little bit of a light touch as he just pushes wide of the corner. Plumley's car was just there. Really not really a blame situation, just a track space issue there, Connery, but unfortunately it didn't work out too well for McRitchie. He ends up having to take that car down pit road, although at least he was close.
Yep, at least he was close indeed. As moving on from that one, we've still got this front pack of what is 5 cars. Looks like 6 right now because you have a bit of that traffic just locked onto the back of these guys, trying to get some of that draft benefit. But here comes the race lead change again right now. Simon Edwards getting passed here by Mick Watson. Will Kane Halbert inside to file himself through, or are we going to go 3 wide again, coming down in towards turn number 8? Halbert had a little bit of a look at it, but Simon Edwards has to hold it from the long way around. As sliding goes Mick Watson through turn number 8, but manages to secure the race. Here comes Simon Edwards looking for the inside in towards 9, and now into the final corner. This is White's corner, turn 10, and on to lap number 11 of 16 will go. Halliburton still looking threatening in this pack as well. Daniels and Adam Terry, though, they have been very quiet.
They've been very quiet, but perhaps they're waiting for some sort of coming together for your lead 3, which looks more and more likely every single lap we have here on lap 11 of 16. Mick Watson leading the way from Edwards, and then Halliburton, of course, Daniels and Terry. Jack Hobbs got back past Thurston. He's now in 6th place, Thurston in 7th. Although something tells me he'll be very happy with just finishing roughly where he started in this one. Reece Saunders, Gary Tall. Tall got a great qualifying today. He stayed in 9th from where he started. A bit like the front group there, Linus, that the back markers in the group, or the packs of these cars, don't really make too many positions. It's usually the first 1 or 2 cars that swap positions.
Yeah, they kind of swap positions down the front straight, the back straightaway, sorry, which is what they've been doing for the last few laps up the front as well. And at the moment we got 3 packs of 5, whereas the last group is a little bit more spread out, but Thurston will be trying to get a run back on Hobbs here. He's a little bit far back though going onto the straightaway, so I don't know if he will be able to do it. But Reece Saunders will have to look out because Gary Toll is coming behind him and he's going to go around the outside for turn 7.
He is, but looking at our leaders here, it was 3 wide briefly there into 8. It was once again, they're all trying to shuffle positions. Edwards takes the lead off Mick Watson and Halliburton goes through as well. So that was a big disadvantage there for Mick Watson, but he's now fallen into the clutches of Ben Daniels. Could Ben Daniels get involved in this one and try and get himself into a spot where he can contend for a podium here, rather than just seeing our top 3 shuffling positions? They're all going to have to decide what position they want to be in here, Connery, of course. Coming onto these last few laps, do you want to be leading onto the Andretti Straight? Do you want to be second? Do you want to be third? Where would you be?
Yeah, I think we've seen all 3 of these front positions lead coming down in towards turn number 8. So if you're in that front 3, you have a pretty good chance of taking this race win at the end of things. But of course, a last-minute pass down the inside at turn number 10, the final corner on circuit, can possibly happen. So if you're the likes of Ben Daniels and Adam Terry here at the back of this train, at the tail end of this train, you really, really want to use that draft advantage on the final lap, on the back straight, to try and get yourself in the mix with the front 3 shenanigans that tend to go on into turn 8.
Yeah, absolutely. There as back up the straight they'll come. This is the second group, of course, here as they're now riding up once again. Edwards tries for it, but loses the spot there to Halliburton very early on in the straight. Actually, Mick Watson comes for a run here. He gets alongside. He's looking for an opening. Can't find enough room to actually fit his car. He has to stay back there in what will be second or third place at the moment, looking like it could be second if he can hang it up the inside here in 9. Not gonna have enough overlap there to keep Edwards away, although Ben Daniels looking a little bit racier now, as I believe they're being joined by, that is not him actually, that's a lap car just behind this group of 5. I thought I was one of the lead group, but it's not. Ben Daniels though, he's looking very tempted.
Yeah, he is. He's playing the patient game. He's playing the Clark Williams game if Clark Williams was still in the race here, just staying behind these particular chains, just finding what he can do a little bit later on. But how that strategy is going to play out in the final laps of this race, I don't exactly know. How aggressive does Ben Daniels want to be? How aggressive does Adam Terry want to be on the final laps as well to try and get themselves in contention for the race win, or at least a podium? We will just have to see, as it's been these front three, that have been swapping the leads pretty much every lap.
Absolutely right. The second group as well as, oh, problems there
Hobbs
for
is off.
Jack Hobbs. Yeah, Hobbs has had a big problem there. He ran very wide in the middle of 5A and B. That gave an advantage to Thurston, but he can't quite. Wow, even with that bad run in the middle of the corner, Hobbs has managed to maintain his momentum, as here comes Gary Tall as well as Paul Thurston on the move. Who will get the advantage of this one here, as they're both going to try and go by? Could it be advantage there to Tall? But Thurston seems to have the slight distance advantage. Let's see what happens as they go through turn 8. Both of them go past. Who will hold the line here? Tall and Thurston. Tall seems to get the actual advantage there. Will get through. Oh, bit of a tap there from Thurston. Bit of a NASCAR truck. Bit of a bumper rub almost, if these cars had bumpers, as Hobbs gets back past as well. Thurston doing his best to race as cleanly as he can there. Not wanting to get into too much trouble, as yeah, he mentions.
Oh, at the front. Kane Halliburton around.
He is indeed. We'll get a replay of what just happened for you. It happened just off our screens there, but Halliburton ran wide, got a wheel on the grass, and you'll see it on replay there. Tried to control his car from sliding into Edwards and spins himself around. Wheel hits the wall, but not too badly. He has to wait for the track to be clear to rejoin, but he does just that. Oh, agonizing wait there for him to get round and go in again, but he survives at least for now. This puts this really between here, Edwards and Watson. As Ben Daniels taking advantage, he has. Ben Daniels up to second place here. This is his moment. He's going for it. Ben Daniels moves up to second place ahead of Mick Watson. Will Adam Terry now find some bravery and join these guys in attacking? Make this end rather exciting. Disappointing to see a driver lose position at that, Linus, but it's one of those things that happens in racing.
Yeah, you just get one wheel in the grass and you will lose control, but he did a really, really good job to keep it off the track and not come straight back through second and third and fourth place, because he could have collected a lot of cars there. So really good job by him to keep it off the track, as we see Watson coming up the inside of Daniels here. but Daniels will have the inside for the next corner. Watson is going to throw it around the outside though and have the inside for the last corner, and he's actually going to clear him before even the entry. That was a big move from Mick Watson.
Certainly was indeed. As let's keep an eye on here on Kane Halliburton, who's back in about 9th, 10th place here. Oh, it's contact behind them. Oh, big contact behind them there, as I believe that was the car of Dave Kirkman, I think it was. I'm looking for him. No, it's the car behind him, the 24 machine of, yep, Jonathan Sheen. Replay for you on screen there. There's a tap between Sheen and the 35 car. Sends Sheen into the inside wall. Oh, hit for him. That'll probably be his chance at competing for a position done. Managed to get the car turned around though and carry on here as we're on to lap 15. Simon Edwards has a good gap now, actually, Linus. He's got a huge gap there over Mick Watson, which means he might have a chance of maintaining this as Watson runs very wide. Daniels dives up the inside and takes advantage. Big chance taken by Ben Daniels. That was massive.
Yeah, these guys battling is letting Edwards drive away, and now he's catching lap traffic as well, so he's getting a big draft too, and they're going 3 wide back here now. Watson on the inside and Edwards is just gone, so this is going to be a battle for 2nd place now. Watson is going to clear it. Terry's just going to back out. He's want nothing to do with this. He's probably happy to finish where he is, but we'll see what happens.
I think he will be indeed, as well, things are getting very, very busy on the racetrack here, as Thurston still battling here with Hobbs and Tall, trying to keep Rhys Saunders behind him. He wants to get a good chance at a move here. We'll be on to the final lap now with your leaders. Simon Edwards clear off in the sunset as it's Mick Watson 2nd place, Ben Daniels 3rd, with 4th place going to be Adam Terry. So our fight here really will not be for the lead, but for 2nd and 3rd. Who has the chance? I think Ben Daniels, Linus, is more desperate for this one.
Oh, Rhys Saunders just crashed.
He has indeed.
9th place, 8th place.
Quick replay for you there of what happened to him. That was on a run from 1 to 2. And Rhys Saunders just gets a wheel in the grass like so many have done and spins it round.
Yep, he does, and he's suffering from a couple more issues than just going off the track there as well, so apologies for that one. But yeah, I'm heading back towards this race lead. We are on the final lap of the event, the final half a lap of the event, and it's going to be Simon Edwards going to be the likely winner of this one. He's managed to pull that gap. He's managed to even pull that gap with the help of Tim Adcock as well as the lap traffic giving him draft. But the thing is, he's past that particular driver now, and let's just see if Mick Watson and Ben Daniels, what they decide to do here in terms of fighting, coming down in towards turn number 8.
He's closing in now. Ben Daniels closing in with the speed here on Mick Watson. Going to go to the outside. An attempt to pass around that far side in turn 8. Has to really hold his foot in there as he runs wide. Oh, Watson runs very wide. Contact with the pair of them. Sends Ben Daniels off the racetrack. Oh, contact for both of them. Adam Terry's going to sail through here. Oh my gosh. Adam Terry sails through for a 2nd place finish here from the quietest man in the field in P5 or race. 2nd place for him. Ben Daniels manages to recover to 3rd, but that was greedy, Connery, honestly, in that last few corners.
Yeah, you just see the car break traction, the one that was ahead there, and I think Mick Watson, he was the one that just tried to hold the car in there, but the thing is, he was going a little bit too fast for what the corner demanded and just slid straight up into the car on his outside. Wow, that is a gift to Adam Terry.
Absolutely huge, and a little greedy move there, of course, but either way, fantastic. Simon Edwards wins tonight, and Adam Terry with a surprise 2nd place. Ben Daniels in a podium spot. Thurston finishes in 6th where he started, so bravo to him, but biggest mover in our top 10 is Jack Hobbs up from, well, 6th place, is from 10th to 4th. You know what, we're going to make this easier. We're going to go straight to your grid. Simon Edwards wins tonight, of course, in the results, not the grid. Adam Terry comes 2nd place, Ben Daniels, Jack Hobbs, Gary Tall, Paul Thurston, Anthony Catt, Mick Watson, Neil Bamber, Matt Cox in the 10th spot there, with Robert Plumley, Darrell Taylor, Kane Halliburton, Dave Kirkman, Simon Maltby in 15th, with Clark Williams recovering to 16th. Rhys Saunders, after his incident, finishes 17th. Ryan Hewitt, James Child, Seymour Harding in 20th. The rest of those positions up on your screen. But Connery, these final laps seem to be really providing us with some drama this season.
Yeah, exactly. Twice in a row, we've seen a last lap, last couple of corners incident decide places on your podium. It didn't decide the race win this time around, but it did decide the positions for position 2 and position 3. But wow, it's like, when is that going to end? Is that now going to be a theme throughout the rest of the season? That's those battles at the end of the race do fall victim in terms of having an incident. We will just have to wait and see. But overall, that was a great race.
It certainly was, and we are going to go to a very short commercial break. But you know what? Stay with us, because the best part of Monday Night Skippys is up next. It's the post-race show. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to the post-race show here on RaceSpotTV and Monday Night Skippys. Don't forget, of course, we are partnered, our charity partner being Calm, the Campaign Against Living Miserably. Check out the information on them in the description. It's very important. But either way, speaking of very important people, we have Simon Edwards here with us today. Simon, fantastic race. So the funny part is he talked to us when we were off air during the commercials, and his microphone was fine. And now he can. Now he can talk to us. Simon, how is it? How was it?
That was
the race, not the microphone.
Yeah, well, both. that was amazing. I mean, that was really intense. I was just desperately trying to stay in the top three, and it was just crazy, really. Just side by side, and the track was so slippy.
Yeah, it seemed to be a lot of marbles on track today. Was that more so than usual?
Yeah, I think it was in the week we'd been racing in morning conditions, so it had been really, really grippy. So there was definitely 2 lines into the last section, but that was really difficult today.
It seemed very sketchy. Like the cars seemed to be a little sideways a lot of the time, but track position here is so important. It seems as though unless you're in the first 2-3 cars of a group, it's almost impossible to make positions. You managed to maintain, and obviously Ken Halliburton had a moment, and then of course Watson had a moment with Ben Daniels. What did you think coming out the final corner, seeing them both disappear?
Yeah, that was a bit intense as well, because I was looking, because I'm in the Oculus, I was actually looking at him as he's made his mistake. This is Kane, and let's just say, I needed new underpants.
Scared? Yeah, because that was pretty close to you. Looked like he was going to go towards you, then he kind of counteracts and whips it the other way, but yeah, that might have been as the Deadpool movie says, that's why he was wearing the brown pants.
That's it, yeah. I didn't really see what was happening behind me. I'd seen I'd made a very small space with Kane going off, but I didn't really see what happened behind me.
Well, either way, fantastic result from you and a fantastic win. First this season.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Simon Edwards won today at round number 2 here at Mosport. Well, next up, Connery is standing by with Gary Tall, who came home today in the 5th position.
Yeah, Gary Tall in 5th position, and that's not usually something that we get to see. Gary Tall in a single-digit position.
That was
a fantastic. Yeah, it did used to be, but not in recent times. But Gary, impressive performance.
Yeah, it was okay. Thanks, Connery. I've only raced twice recently. Yeah, it was good. It was, as Simon was saying, it was quite intense in there. We were in our own little battle. Very, very difficult today. The conditions were quite hard, and the draft wasn't as powerful as I've seen it here in the past. So you weren't guaranteed just drifting by on the back straight.
Yeah, and coming back to the weather conditions as well, we did mention it with Simon as well, but things did look very, very slippery out there. The track conditions, 40 degrees on the track, there were a bit marbles offline as well. Just to give the viewers an idea of how tough those conditions were today, because exactly like Rachel said, it looked very slippery.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to practice in default conditions, so usually the races are a bit of a bonus if it's better conditions. Today, it was harder, and it was difficult to judge just how much grip you'd got. Certainly the last section I found quite difficult compared to normal. I'm usually quite quick through there, but very, very hard to get it right, and you were just tending to edge out into oversteer quite often.
Yep, you were, and we saw multiple cars get themselves into some very sketchy situations, shall we say. And, well, it's been a couple of good races for you. At least at the start of this season, you got yourself a P number 12 at Lime Rock Park. So you've set yourself up for a decent run in terms of the points finishes this season. And what are your goals, in terms of the points of where to finish? Do you want to finish inside the top 10?
Yeah, I do. I mean, to be honest, I'm not qualifying well enough at the moment. I need to qualify a bit better, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, we will see where it goes. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Paul for giving me a bit of space.
In fact, we do have Mr. Paul Thurston with us. So there we go, Rachel.
We certainly do, and well, Linus has Mr. Thurston with him.
Exactly, Paul Thurston. Good race for you today. Started 6th, racing at the front of that second pack all the race long, and then having a chance at 5th in the end, but coming home in 6th place. How was your race?
Well, I qualified. I was very pleased with my qualifying. I had a bit of a PC problem literally just before qualifying, so I only had 7 minutes, and I missed my last lap. So I was very pleased to qualify that far. Particularly pleased to qualify in front of Gary. I was not expecting that at Mosport. Back in the Grand Prix Legends days, Gary was legendary here. He was just absolutely superb. I could never get anywhere near him, so to be anywhere near was pleasing. And then the race, I wanted not to hemorrhage places after the first lap like last week, so I was possibly a little brutal in the initial stages. But didn't hit anyone. Only 4 starters today had 0 incidents, and 3 of them were Epic Banana drivers. I should point that out. But there's no way I could keep Jack and Gary behind the whole race in the end. It was absolutely a brilliant little fight between there's about 5 or 6 of us at various points, and I was just about. I remember I'd done about 30 laps of the 16, and then my spotter said there were 10 laps to go. So obviously he'd miscounted. That's what it felt like, certainly. That's very, very intense racing, very tiring, and I am disappointed to be half a second away from 4th. But at the end of the day, Jack and Gary were quicker than me on the day. So it was a great race by Gary for him to be back, just come back and just immediately be on the pace again. Give him 5 or 6 races, basically, and he'll be up there with Simon.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable battle to watch and a lot of respectful racing. It looked like at a point there like you were going to pull away, you had almost a second gap, but then the draft killed you down the back straight away and they caught up. But how close did you feel like you were to be able to pull away and maybe secure that position ahead of that group about halfway through the race?
Yeah, I saw that gap, but it never got over a second. That was the problem. And what you had is you had Jack and Gary and I can't remember who the other one was. Ryan, all there basically, and Jack, drafted down the straight, and he gets a bit of an extra speed there, so he gets within the 1 second bracket. And once they're back in 1 second bracket, really, there's nothing you can do. They're going to basically just suck back up to your tail again. I was a bit disappointed with how quickly he got back to me, but I was doing PB times when I was in clear air, so I couldn't do any more. If he catches me, it's just because he's quicker. So at that point, I just tried to. I mean, when he got in front of me, I was right up with him again, because that's the thing about the draft at Mosport, and you can pull that back. Maybe I could have got 4th. On a different day, I would get 4th, but I'm very happy with it because it was just such a fun race. That's what it's all about. You race all year, you get taken out on turn 1, you just screw up and make a mistake, you lose 10 places from a good qualifying spot, and then you have one race like this, and you remember why you do this.
Yeah, it makes it all worthwhile when you have a good race, and congratulations on a good result, a good qualifying and a good race overall, and thanks for joining us once again.
Cheers, Liz.
There's a fantastic sentiment there from Paul. It just takes one good result in a sea of bad ones to remember why it is you race. I think that's something all of us can sympathise with and feel. There is one last question I want to ask Mr. Thurston before we let him go. You think he knows what it is too, Paul?
Yes, I'm going to have a cup of tea.
Exactly, that's the important thing we need to know. Is he going to go have a cup of tea? Is Paul Thurston... Does the Queen sleep in the palace? It's one of those things. It's not that we're saying Paul Thurston is the Queen, although we haven't confirmed that rumour. We'll leave you on that bombshell. Thanks for watching Monday Night Skippys this week. We'll see you same time next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.